This morning, you probably looked in a mirror. You saw a face you have seen thousands of times before. A face so familiar that your brain barely pays attention to it anymore, even though it may be the most important image in your entire life. But there is a strange problem. You have never actually seen your own face. That sounds ridiculous. How could that possibly be true, after all? Mirrors exist, cameras exist, and your phone is probably full of photos of you. Yet the real answer is far stranger than it first appears. The face you know is not your face, at least not directly. Every morning, the version you see is a reflection. It is flipped left to right. Tiny details are reversed. Asymmetries switch sides. Features that other people have always seen are rearranged into a version that exists only for you. Most people never think about this. Why would they? The reflected face becomes so familiar that it starts to feel like reality itself. But reality is not what your brain experiences. Your brain experiences a model, a useful approximation built from incomplete information. And that idea goes far beyond mirrors. Your ancestors lived for hundreds of thousands of years without ever seeing a clear reflection. A calm pool of water might briefly reveal an image. A polished stone might provide a distorted glimpse. But for most of human history, people had only fragments. Imagine trying to understand what you looked like without mirrors. You could touch your nose, you could feel your cheeks, you could ask other people, but you could never step outside yourself and look back. In a sense, that is still true today. No matter how advanced technology becomes, you remain trapped behind your own eyes. The philosopher Thomas Nagel famously explored a related question when he asked what it is like to be a bat. His point was simple. Every conscious creature experiences reality from the inside. No amount of outside information fully escapes that limitation. The same thing happens with your face. You know more about it than anyone else, yet you can never observe it the way everyone else does. Psychologists have discovered something interesting about self-perception. People do not simply record information about themselves. They actively edit it. Research by Nicholas Epley and Aaron Whitchurch found that many people tend to remember themselves as slightly more attractive than they really are. When shown altered images of their own faces, participants often preferred subtly enhanced versions without realizing it. Your brain is not trying to deceive you. It is trying to maintain a stable sense of self. That stability matters. Human beings rely on identity. Without a coherent picture of who you are, daily life becomes confusing. So your brain smooths rough edges, fills gaps, and creates a version of you that feels consistent over time. But consistency is not the same thing as accuracy. Think about old photographs. Sometimes you see one and immediately think it looks strange. Why? Because the image matches what other people see, not what you see in the mirror. The familiar version in your mind collides with a different reality. Many people even dislike their recorded voice for a similar reason. The voice in your head is not the voice everyone else hears. The face in your mind is not exactly the face everyone else sees, and the person you think you are is not exactly the person everyone else knows. This creates a fascinating paradox. You are the world's leading expert on being you. Yet you cannot access some of the most basic information about yourself directly. Neuroscientists have spent decades studying how the brain constructs self-awareness. Antonio Damasio argued that the sense of self emerges from the brain continuously integrating information about the body. Rather than discovering a permanent self hidden somewhere inside the mind, the brain actively builds one moment by moment. That process never stops. Every experience updates the model. Every memory reshapes it, every interaction changes it. The version of yourself that existed 10 years ago is gone, yet it still feels like the same person. How does that happen? Part of the answer lies in memory. Memory feels like a recording device. It is not. The psychologist Elizabeth Loftus demonstrated that memories can be surprisingly flexible. Under the right circumstances, people can remember events differently from how they actually occurred. Sometimes they can even form memories of things that never happened at all. This does not mean memory is useless. It means memory is creative. Your brain is constantly reconstructing the past rather than replaying it perfectly. The image you carry of your own face works in a similar way. It is not a photograph stored in a vault. It is a living prediction, a reconstruction, a best guess. And because it is built by the same brain that experiences the world from a single viewpoint, it can never be completely objective. There is another layer to this mystery. Every person who knows you carries a different version of your face in their mind. Your family sees one version, your friends see another. A childhood classmate remembers features that a coworker would never notice. Someone who loves you may focus on details that strangers completely ignore. Which version is the real one? None of them. And all of them. Human perception is selective. The brain pays attention to what matters most in a given context. That means every observer constructs a slightly different model of you. In a strange way, there is no single face that exists perfectly in every mind. There are only countless interpretations. This idea appears throughout psychology. The spotlight effect, studied by Thomas Gilovich and colleagues, revealed that people often believe others notice them far more than they actually do. Your embarrassing moments feel enormous because you experience them from the center of your own perspective. Everyone else is busy being the center of theirs. That realization can be surprisingly freeing. The image you worry about is often not the image other people see. The flaw that occupies your attention may go completely unnoticed. The feature you dislike may be something another person finds memorable. The face in your mirror is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. Technology has complicated this puzzle even further. Today, cameras are everywhere. You can take thousands of photos, you can record videos, you can watch yourself from angles your ancestors could never imagine. Surely that solves the problem. Not quite. Cameras introduce their own distortions. Lenses change proportions. Lighting changes appearance. Expressions freeze moments that may not represent how you usually look. Even video cannot fully capture what it is like to encounter a living person. Real human perception is dynamic. People see movement, posture, emotion, timing, context. A face is never just a face. It is part of an entire person, and that person is constantly changing. Scientists who study perception often emphasize that seeing is not passive. The brain does not simply receive reality. It predicts reality. The neuroscientist Anil Seth describes perception as a controlled hallucination guided by sensory information. Your brain continuously generates expectations and updates them based on incoming evidence. If that sounds strange, consider what it means. The world you experience is not a direct feed from reality. It is reality filtered through a prediction machine. Your own face passes through that machine too. The face you believe you know may be the most familiar image in your life, yet it is still an interpretation, still a construction, still a prediction. This becomes even more interesting when you think about identity. Most people assume there is a clear boundary between themselves and the outside world. But where exactly is that boundary? Your body changes, your cells change, your memories change, your beliefs change, even your face changes. Look at a photograph from 20 years ago. The person is recognizable, but not identical. The same will be true 20 years from now. The face in tomorrow's mirror will already be slightly different from today's. Yet your brain will stitch those versions together into a continuous story. That story is one of the most powerful things the human mind creates. Without it, you would struggle to understand who you are. With it, you gain a sense of continuity across decades. But stories simplify. They compress. They leave things out. The story of your own face is no exception. There is something strangely humbling about this. You can travel across continents. You can photograph distant galaxies. You can map the ocean floor. You can study ancient civilizations. Yet there remains one perspective forever unavailable to you. Your own. You can approach it. You can estimate it. You can collect clues. But you can never fully escape yourself to observe yourself exactly as others do. That limitation is not a flaw. It is part of being conscious. Every human who has ever lived has experienced reality through a single pair of eyes. Every human has been locked inside a unique perspective. Every human has carried an image of themselves that was never perfectly complete. Perhaps that is why questions about identity never disappear. Who are you? What do you really look like? How much of your self-image is accurate? How much is invention? The answers remain elusive because the observer and the observed are the same person. You're trying to look directly at the thing doing the looking. And that may be one of the strangest challenges in human existence. So the next time you stand in front of a mirror, notice what is really happening. You're not seeing your face. You're seeing a reflection of it. A reversed image interpreted by a prediction machine, shaped by memory, filtered through identity, and woven into a story that has been evolving since childhood. It feels completely familiar, yet it remains slightly mysterious. Because after all these years, after every mirror, every photograph, and every video, the one face you can never truly step outside and see is your own.